Divine revelation, you've manifested heavenly smiles. 3 prophetic messages confirmed just for you. In the heart of a quaint English village, nestled among the gentle swells of rolling hills, there existed an extraordinary aura that wrapped itself around the community like a cozy blanket. It shimmered with a divine whisper, the kind that beckons the faithful with promises of miracles. Every Sunday, Mary, a devoted mother of 38, found herself at the local church, her heart entwined with the congregation's fervor. She leaned on her patron saint, Saint Michael, drawing strength from tales of courage and divine intervention, believing deep within that she too could summon the heavens to her aid. But as the sun dimmed on their idyllic village life, the unthinkable occurred. Little Jacob fell ill, his laughter choking on the weight of an undiagnosed affliction that left even doctors wringing their hands in despair. Mary's heart raced, each beat echoing the urgency of a countdown she wished with all her soul didn't exist. Days passed in a blur, filled with prayer and quiet weeping, until one fateful evening when a swell of fervent hope surged through her heart. At the church, bathed in the golden hue of candlelight, Father Thomas rose to share the words he believed had been revealed to him through deep prayer. His voice, steady yet filled with reverence, carried tidings of 3 prophetic messages, each one a beacon within Mary's storm. The first message spoke of an angelic presence, watching over her family. Light flickered like wings dancing in the air as whispers of joy filled the corners of the stone sanctuary. The second, a promise of healing that turned the very fabric of despair into threads of hope. The congregation gasped, their breaths caught in awe. The third revelation stirred vibrantly, declaring that their struggles were not in vain but part of a grander design. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Yet, as doubt began to creep in like a cold breeze cutting through warmth, Mary felt the weight of her community's skepticism drape over her like a thick fog. Despite the promises brightening Father Thomas's words, family and friends raised brows, murmuring about the cold, hard logic of medical science. Mary, desperate to cling to faith, sought unconventional therapy, each decision spinning the world around her further into confusion. As the days stretched on, hope dimmed, each tick of the clock drawing her closer to an abyss she fought against daily, and then, in the deepest shadows of her disaster, an extraordinary light pierced through the darkness. A visitation, a presence she could not explain came to her amidst her prayers, filling her heart with warmth and an undeniable clarity. She felt angels wrapping their wings around her, a realization that they had been there all along, guarding and guiding her every step. It rekindled faith that glowed within her, illuminating the path of resilience her family was destined to walk. But as the first flickers of healing began to emerge, reality unleashed a shocking revelation. A moment of truth that threatened to unravel everything she believed. At this crossroad of faith and doubt, Mary stood trembling, eager yet afraid. Would the prophetic messages endure? Would she find the courage to trust the divine plan set before her? The looming question lingered as the church bells tolled, each chime echoing a profound mystery yet to unfold. As dawn broke over the village, painting the skies in hues of rose and gold, Mary found herself in a whirlwind of thoughts. The warm rays filtered through her window, yet the chill of uncertainty clung to her heart. Little Jacob's first light-hearted chuckle in days made her spirit flutter momentarily, only to be weighed down again by what lay ahead. Could it be too good to be true? Determined not to succumb to dread, Mary knelt on the small rug by her bedside. With her palms pressed together, she whispered fervent prayers, beseeching Saint Michael for guidance and protection. "Let us, dear saint," she implored, "help me navigate this tempest." The words floated softly in the space, mingling with the fresh scent of morning. She felt a flicker of hope in the air, a promise interwoven with threads of love and faith. The notion of God's angels hovering near her didn't just comfort her, it ignited a flicker of tenacity within her. "I shall believe," she murmured, nodding to herself as if convinced. It was in hope, after all, that she would find the strength to carry on. Days turned into a montage of care and compassion as the village rallied around Mary. Neighbors brought meals, while children clustered around their friend, playing games that painted innocence back into Jacob's cheeks. The innocence, however, also hid a vulnerability. Mary noticed Jacob's playful curiosity dim when the adults spoke in hushed tones. His wide eyes held a question, one that seemed deeper than his years, yet his laughter pierced through, mending fragile hearts momentarily. Later that week, a turn of events sent a ripple through their tranquil lives. Father Thomas requested a special prayer gathering at the church. A community lifted in prayer is a powerful force, he claimed, his demeanor bringing a palpable energy into the air. Mary felt her heart swell. Yes, unity. Here lay the very essence of their faith, a collective force, surging together towards divine intervention. As the candles flickered to life that Friday evening, casting playful shadows around the stone walls, Mary joined the congregation with her shoulders squared, renewed resolve coursing through her veins. Each soft murmur and each voice raised in harmony echoed like a symphony of hope, curling around her spirit. Mother Margaret, an elder with the grace of a willow, spoke her piece for divine strength, her voice steady as the earth itself. Yet, as they prayed, an unease began to tighten in her chest. Would the prayers be met? Would heaven truly open its gates for her family? Yet just as doubt loomed larger, a radiant light seemed to descend, painting the stones of the church in ethereal gold. Gasps filled the air, and Mary closed her eyes tightly. Something beautiful was happening. In that moment, she felt the whispers of love envelop her, reminding her of the messages declared by Father Thomas. Those 3 prophetic words hung in the air like vibrant threads of possibility. Maybe, just maybe, this was the sign they had longed for. But as excitement buzzed through the congregation, one voice rang louder than the rest. A stranger, a man with weary eyes, disrupted the meeting with urgent news. A dire affliction had swept through a neighboring parish. An epidemic, they whispered. Fear rippled through the room, yet Mary caught herself looking upwards, resolve bubbling anew. Could this trial be another chance to manifest faith? She squeezed her eyes shut. What would God have her do? How could she stand firm against the brewing storm? It was a test of faith, she realized, one that demanded her to step into the light, even when shadows loomed. As the evening waned, Mary felt the warmth of the community ignite hope anew. Would they face the dangers together? Would her love, combined with the strength of their prayers, make a difference? With newfound determination set in her heart, she knew one thing: the path would reveal itself in time. Little Jacob was depending on her, and she would fight to illuminate his spirit no matter the challenge. In the silence of that church, the air crackled with anticipation, a reminder that the divine was ever so near. What would God clarify through these unexpected trials? As she left the church, hand in hand with her son, a question lingered like mist in the morning light: was this truly just the beginning? As dawn arrived once more, Mary felt the weight of uncertainty tugging at her heart, yet her spirit was lifted by an unseen strength. Today was a new day, a chance to carry the warmth of hope into the world. Little Jacob, still sleepy-eyed and clad in a rumpled shirt, clung to her side as they stepped outside. The village bustled with activity, the scent of fresh bread mingling with the crisp morning air. Moments filled with laughter and joy surrounded them as neighbors greeted each other, exchanging smiles and kind words. Yet, beneath the surface of this seemingly ordinary morning, a tremor of fear lingered, reminiscent of the news from the church gathering. Mary felt the tug of the epidemic's shadow. It crept along the edges of her heart, a constant reminder of the fragility of life. "Mommy, can we go play?" Jacob's voice broke through her thoughts, innocence sparking a smile on her lips. She nodded, but a part of her lingered, rooted in the swirling uncertainties. "Yes, of course, but let us stay nearby," she replied, an unsteady conviction grounding her words. As they wandered toward the village square, Mary noticed the gathering crowd, voices rising in an undercurrent of urgency. A weight settled in her chest as she recognized the familiar faces of neighbors, worry etched into their features. It unsettled her. What news had spread now? Just then, a commotion drew her attention. Father Thomas stood atop a low platform, his hands raised in a gesture calling for attention. "Brothers and sisters," he began, his voice resonating with authority wrapped in compassion. "We must come together, not only for our own but for those affected by the affliction in our neighboring parish." Mary's heart quickened. Unity was the essence of their faith, but fear was now weaving through the fabric of their community. How could they embrace faith while facing dread? She felt the tremor beneath her skin as everyone held their breath, seeking guidance. "Let us pray together, as one family," Father Thomas urged, his eyes glistening with fervor. "Let our voices rise as an offering of love, a beacon against the darkness." In that moment, Mary felt the pull of the divine. Together, they could uplift the spirits of the afflicted, their collective faith might become a fortress for those suffering. She caught Jacob's eyes, bright and trusting, and felt a pulse of courage. "We must do this," she whispered, and as they knelt together, mother and son, the warmth of hope eclipsed the shadows, the prayers that wove through the air felt like threads of divine light. Each word shared, soft yet powerful, linked their hearts in an unbreakable bond. Mary breathed deeply, letting the prayers wash over her. Despite fear's grip, she felt a stirring of assurance within. This was not a battle waged in isolation, they were fighting alongside those in need. As the prayers ended, Father Thomas raised his hands. "God has a purpose in this trial. Maybe, just maybe, He's revealing something miraculous that we've yet to understand." His message hung in the air, a potent lift of possibility that left Mary pondering deeply. Suddenly, Jacob tugged at her sleeve. "Mommy, look." He pointed at an elderly woman standing near them, her frail frame bathed in the gentle glow of sunlight. A smile broke across her weathered face, and it felt to Mary like a burst of warmth breaking through the wintry clouds. In that instant, love transcended fear, connection blossomed amid the chaos, a divine whisper affirming that God's plan was still at work in their lives. As they made their way through the crowd, Mary realized that perhaps this was just the foundation, the beginning of something greater. How would their love be tested? What revelations awaited them along this divine journey? With fire in her heart, she squeezed Jacob's hand tighter. Today was a day for unwavering faith, a promise that lay not just in her heart but within the very fabric of their beloved community. Whatever trials lay ahead, she would embrace them, and together, they would turn toward the light. As they stepped away from the square, Mary's mind swirled with possibilities and unspoken prayers. What divine messages would unfold next? Would they see miracles manifest in the very shadows that sought to ensnare them? As Mary and Jacob wandered away from the square, a certain serenity began to settle over her heart. The morning light bathed everything in gold, illuminating the way forward, yet shadows still flickered in her mind. With Jacob's cheerful chatter beside her, each laugh felt like a gentle reminder of the love that bound them all. But fear lingered. How could they find joy while uncertainty stalked their footsteps? "Mommy, can we go to see the old tree?" Jacob asked, his eyes sparkling with mischief. Mary smiled, realizing how much her son embraced life with open arms, untainted by the specter of dread. "Of course, Jacob. Let's visit it together," she replied, her heart warming at his eagerness. The old tree had stood as a silent witness through seasons of joy and sorrow, its sturdy branches reaching out like welcoming arms. As they walked towards the tree, the atmosphere shifted. The air thickened with an unspoken weight, making it hard to breathe. Yet amidst it all, flashes of hope sparked like sunlight filtered through leaves. With every step, Mary could feel the community rallying together, clinging to their faith and lifting each other's spirits. When they reached the tree, Jacob dashed ahead, his laughter echoing like a sweet melody. Mary settled down on a patch of grass, taking a moment to reflect. She closed her eyes, feeling the cool breeze brush against her face, reminding her of something deeper than fear, love. Just then, she heard sobbing nearby. Curiosity piqued, Mary opened her eyes and turned. She saw a young woman sitting with her back against the tree, tears streaming down her cheeks. The woman's shoulders trembled as she clutched a tattered cloth, a remnant of a once cherished belonging. Mary approached softly, her heart drawn to the woman's pain. "Are you all right?" she asked gently. The woman looked up, her eyes bloodshot yet brimming with raw emotion. "I lost my brother last week to the illness that has gripped our town," she confessed, her voice choked with anguish. "He was my light," and now her voice faded into a whisper, sorrow enveloping her words. Mary's heart ached for the woman, a reminder of the fragility of life they all faced. "I'm so sorry," she said, kneeling beside her. "But I invite you to pray with us. Together we can find peace even in the midst of darkness." The young woman looked startled but then nodded gratefully. They bowed their heads, and Mary allowed the prayers that had filled the square earlier to wash over her again. As their voices rose, a warmth enveloped them, and a gentle breeze carried the whispers of their faith toward the heavens. With every word lifted in prayer, a weight seemed to release from the young woman's shoulders. Mary glanced at Jacob, who sat patiently, eyes closed, his small hands clutching tightly to the grass. In that moment, she realized they were creating an oasis of compassion and hope right under the old tree, a sanctuary amidst the storms of life. As the prayer came to a close, the young woman opened her eyes, brighter now, the tears still glistening like precious jewels. "Thank you," she said softly. "I feel lighter, as if I'm not alone anymore." Mary smiled, and for the first time, she understood. They were not merely individuals navigating fear, they were one body, united in love and faith. How powerful it was, that their shared prayers could weave a blanket of comfort over burgeoning grief. Little did they know, greater challenges awaited. Would their newfound strength hold in the face of the trials to come? What other souls would be drawn to their light? Mary watched the sunlight dancing on the leaves above, her heart swelling with anticipation. With newly ignited faith, she squeezed Jacob's hand once more. Something profound was stirring within and around them. And as they sat beneath the old tree, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that a divine message was about to unfold, a revelation heralding the next chapter of their journey. Would they be ready for what was to come? As the gentle breeze swayed the leaves overhead, Mary felt a soft tug in her spirit, a sense of expectancy. It was a feeling that something greater was on the horizon, calling to them from beyond the ordinary world. Jacob, oblivious to the weighty signs, darted around the tree, a whirlwind of joy. His laughter floated like a melody carried on the wind, breaking through the melancholy that surrounded them. The young woman wiped her tears and joined in Jacob's playful antics. Mary observed how their joy became a bridge between her sorrow and hope. Even in shared grief, laughter could surge forward like a river breaking through stone. "Do you hear that?" Mary asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The air around them seemed alive with an energy she could neither name nor describe. The woman paused, tilting her head. "What do you mean?" "It's as if the very earth is calling us," Mary said, her heart racing. "Like God is giving us a message." As they sat beneath the old tree, they felt the warmth of each other's presence grow. It was a bond woven deeper through shared struggles, a thread of unity that wrapped them in hope even in uncertainty. In that sacred moment, the old tree began to creak softly, and Mary's gaze intensified. A rustle in the branches drew her attention up. Pieces of sunlight spilled through the greenery, casting flickering patterns on Jacob and the young woman. Mary smiled gently, recognizing the familiar dance of the divine. This was no ordinary day. "All things work together for good," she murmured, recalling the scripture that had long helped guide her heart. Suddenly, without warning, a gust of wind coursed through, lifting the tattered cloth the woman had clasped. It soared upward, caught in the sunlight before finally resting gently against the base of the tree. Mary's breath caught in her throat as she saw the cloth reveal a hidden inscription on the bark, words carefully etched, barely discernible at first. Gathering her courage, she leaned closer. "Fear not, for I am with you, I will strengthen you," she read aloud, her voice trembling. "Do not be afraid. Look around you and see the light that still shines." The woman gasped, her eyes wide with awe. How is that possible?" Mary felt the warmth of the words envelop them, realizing this message was not only for her but for every heart burdened by sorrow. The young woman reached out, and Mary took her hand, binding their spirits together. "Sometimes," Mary began, her voice steady and filled with certainty, God speaks to us through unexpected signs. We are not alone, He is with us, even in the depths of our pain. Jacob, sensing the sacred atmosphere, approached, his eyes full of wonder. "Mommy, are the tree and the wind talking to us?" Mary chuckled softly, ruffling Jacob's hair. "Perhaps they are, my love. Perhaps they are." As they stood in unity beneath the tree, the light shifted, growing brighter, as if heaven itself was joining in their moment of connection. The weight in Mary's heart began to lift, and in its place, a renewed strength surged through her veins. But just as the air buzzed with promises, a shadow loomed in the distance. They turned to face the figure approaching, an unknown traveler cloaked in the same heaviness that had ailed their town. What was this new challenge that sought to steal their light? As the traveler drew near, Mary felt a stirring within her, an urgency creeping in. Her heart raced at the thought of what this could mean for them and all they had begun to build. They were on the brink of something transformative, but the road ahead promised tests like they had never seen before. Would they hold fast to the light shining within? Or would they waver in the face of adversity yet to come? The time ahead was uncertain, yet Mary clenched her jaw, resolute. They must find their strength. With newfound urgency, she squeezed the hands of the woman and Jacob. Wrapping them in her love, she steadied her breath. Would they be brave enough to face the unknown together? Across the landscape of possibility, the shadow approached, and the stage was set for a divine encounter unlike any other. What destiny awaited them now, lurking in the unseen? As the figure stepped out of the shadows, the air crackled with tension. Mary's heart thudded against her ribs, each beat echoing her growing concern. The traveler stood before them, cloaked in gray, with eyes that held stories of sorrow and pain. His presence felt heavy, like a storm cloud that threatened to unleash a deluge. "Who are you?" Mary asked, her voice firm despite her racing heart. The traveler didn't answer right away. He looked at Jacob, who, fascinated, took a hesitant step forward. Innocence radiated from him, a contrasting light against the palpable gloom. The traveler knelt down, meeting Jacob's wide-eyed gaze. "I am here to bear witness to your struggle, dear child," he finally replied, his voice gravelly yet soothing. "But you hold something precious, something bright within your hearts." Mary felt a flicker of resolve ignite in her chest. She squeezed the young woman's hand tighter, searching for strength in their connection. "We all carry our burdens, but we also carry the promise of hope," she stated, sending out a silent prayer that the traveler might feel the truth in her words. The traveler then stood, casting his gaze upon the old tree that had served as their sanctuary. "This tree is a symbol of renewal," he said. "Each season brings change, each leaf that falls brings new life. You must remember that in despair, light can break through even the thickest clouds." Mary felt her heart swell as she recalled the warmth of the message they had just received. Hope echoed in the depths of those words, resonating like a bell calling them to action. "But the path isn't clear, is it?" The traveler continued, his somber tone piercing through her thoughts. "Difficulties will come, storms will rise. You must unite in strength." The young woman stepped forward, encouraged by the traveler's perspective. "What can we do to face what's coming?" she asked, her voice laced with determination that he took a deep breath, as if gathering wisdom from the earth itself. "You must lean on each other, share your burdens, and open your hearts to the divine guidance surrounding you. Remember, fear is a veil, but faith pierces through it." Mary nodded, feeling buoyed by the words as they settled within her spirit. They were being called to act with strength and resolve, to be a beacon of light for each other and for their community. Jacob, observing the mix of emotions on their faces, asked innocently, "Can we make the storm go away?" Mary knelt down next to her son and smiled tenderly. "We might not be able to stop the storms, Jacob, but we can choose how to dance in the rain." The traveler nodded in agreement, his eyes softening. "Indeed, child. And remember, even when the wind howls, you have the power to sing your own song." Mary felt a wave of love for Jacob and the young woman beside her. Each of them were strong, resilient spirits intertwined in this journey. As they linked hands in a circle, Mary could feel warmth radiating among them, a sacred energy brought forth by their unity and faith. But suddenly, the wind picked up dramatically, the atmosphere shifting as if a challenge loomed on the horizon. The traveler's face turned grave. "Your inner strength will be tested in ways you cannot foresee. Stay vigilant and trust in your connection, for it will guide you through." Mary looked at Jacob and the young woman, their eyes reflecting her own resolve. They would face whatever came their way together. Yet, just as they prepared to forge ahead, a piercing cry broke through the air. A voice filled with desperation echoed from the direction of the town. "Help! We need help!" The tone of the cry sent a shiver down Mary's spine. What misfortune awaited them? As a knot of fear constricted around her heart, she gripped her companions tighter, determination boiling within her. What awaited them in the embrace of this new challenge? Would they muster the courage to respond, or would the shadows overwhelm them? In that moment, everything was at stake, and the next steps would define not just their journey, but their very destinies. Mary felt a pulse of urgency in her veins as the cry for help resonated within her. The world around her seemed to shift, the air thick with the weight of anticipation. She glanced at the traveler, searching for guidance in his ancient eyes. "What should we do?" she asked, her voice trembling but firm. "Go to them," he urged, his voice steady. "Every call in despair is a chance for light to shine through. You cannot shy away from the needs of others, for you are not just guardians of your own hopes, but beacons for those in darkness." With that, Mary felt a surge of bravery. She turned to Jacob, crouching down to his level. "Remember what we talked about?" she reminded him. "We can face anything together. Let us help those who need us." Jacob nodded, his spirit ignited by her words. He reached for the young woman's hand, pulling her into the circle they had formed earlier. "We can be brave, right?" His innocent question lingered in the air, a challenge to their grown-up fears. "Yes, my love," Mary affirmed, her heart swelling with pride. "Bravery doesn't mean being unafraid, it means moving forward even when we are." With a shared, resolute glance among them, they started toward the town. Each step felt like a commitment, a pledge to be the change they wished to see, to lend strength to the vulnerable. As they approached a cluster of houses, the atmosphere thickened further. The cries grew louder, echoing off the worn stone walls. Fear trembled in Mary's heart, but it was quickly replaced by a divine stirring. This was not a random event, this was a divine appointment. The trio burst through the last stretch of trees bordering the town, entering a scene of chaos. People were gathered in small clumps, their faces etched with worry. Hushed conversations filled the air, each word dripping with uncertainty. A child, his small body trembling, clutched a bright red kite that had gotten caught in a high branch during the fierce wind. Mary's breath caught in her throat. This was what they were needed for. This was their moment to respond, to be vessels of hope. "Let us help!" Jacob exclaimed, his urgency infectious. He ran toward the boy, who looked small and lost amidst the commotion. Mary and the young woman followed, their spirits intertwined with that of the child. As they reached the boy, Mary knelt, meeting his frightened eyes. "We're here. You're not alone," she assured him, gently placing a hand on his shoulder. The traveler lingered a few steps back, observing their strength. "Do not underestimate the power of presence," he murmured to himself. Even in silence, love speaks loudly. Gathering their strength, they worked together, the boy's small hand in Jacob's, while the young woman clutched a thick branch to climb higher to reach the kite. All around them, the atmosphere began to change. Small sparks of hope ignited among the townsfolk as they saw the determined spirits working together. This was not just about freeing a kite, it had transformed into a movement of solidarity and love. Mary's heart raced as she felt new energy swelling around them, wrapping them in a cocoon of divine purpose. More than just a small act, they were declaring that light would shine even in the darkest storms. But as the kite fluttered free at last, soaring into the air, another piercing wail echoed through the town, filled with anguish and despair. "Help! We need help!" It was a different voice, broken and frantic, calling from a distance, as if the earth itself demanded their attention again. Mary looked toward the sound, her heart heavy yet hopeful. What more awaited them? Would they find the strength to shine even brighter? Every moment was pregnant with mystery anew. They had opened doors, but what lay behind them? Would they rise to another challenge? The path ahead beckoned, cloaked in divine uncertainty. Mary's heart beat faster as she turned toward the direction of the new cry. The urgency in that voice was undeniable, piercing through the moment they had just shared. With the kite now dancing freely in the sky, a promise of joy, Mary felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders anew. "Let us go," she urged, pushing the intertwining threads of courage and concern into her voice. Jacob clutched her hand tighter, sensing the gravity of the situation, his small face now serious. The young woman beside them mirrored their resolve, her determination evident. As they moved through the crowd, the townspeople's eyes flickered with uncertainty. They were waiting for a sign, a gesture of hope. Each face was a canvas of worry, but in each gaze, Mary also saw a flicker of expectation. Their hearts yearned for relief, and it was as if they were collectively holding their breath. The three of them rushed toward the sound, weaving through groups of people who stood transfixed. Just beyond the last row of houses, a scene unfolded. A woman was kneeling at the edge of a small pond, her hands grasping the shirt of a boy who had fallen into the water. Panic radiated from her, her desperate calls for help echoing in the air. Without a second thought, Mary surged forward, propelled by an instinct deeper than fear. "Hold on!" she shouted, reaching the pond's edge. The water shimmered ominously under the dim light, and the cool breeze seemed to whisper caution into her ear. Jacob, sensing the gravity of the moment, cried out, "Mom! I'm going in!" Mary declared, fueled by a mixture of fear and fierce love. She stepped into the water, feeling its chill wrap around her legs. Each step was a prayer, her heart steadying with each forward push. The young woman joined her, stepping boldly into the pond's embrace. Together, they stretched out their arms in unison, as the woman above them cried out, her voice breaking with fear. "Just hold on. We're coming!" they shouted. Bravery surged within Mary, ignited by the sight of the boy's tiny face struggling against the water. Drawing strength from the gathering crowd, she reached out, her hand finding the fabric of the boy's shirt. Together, the young woman encouraged, grasping the boy's other arm. With a united pull, they lifted him from the depths, drenched yet alive, into the air. The world faded away, and for that moment, it was just them, voices rising in hope, hearts beating in rhythm. As they pulled him to safety, cheers erupted from the spectators. The boy gasped for breath, and his mother's tears flowed, a river of gratitude cascading down her cheeks. Mary's heart swelled as she returned to solid ground, feeling as if they had truly been vessels of light. But before she could catch her breath, another voice rang out, this time rich with awe. "Is everything all right?" It came from the traveler, who stood at a distance, his eyes glimmering with wisdom. "Yes. We did it!" Jacob exclaimed, half excited and half relieved. Mary felt warmth overflow as she looked back at the boy, now wrapped in the comfort of his mother's embrace. Yet, the cries softened, and the air grew thick again. Mary looked into the traveler's gaze, where a deep understanding lingered. They had come to help not just one soul but to awaken a community. "What next?" Mary asked, her voice barely a whisper, the horizon painting the skies with dusky tones. "Many seek answers in dark times," the traveler said softly, "but their journey begins with a single act of kindness. Be ready for the unexpected, for the next call might be louder still." With the sun dipping low, the path ahead shimmered and twisted, a new journey ready to unfold before them. What awaited beyond the darkness? What revelation would emerge from the shadows they had lit? The atmosphere shifted as the sun dipped lower, casting a soft golden hue over the gathering. Mary felt a sense of urgency wash over her as whispers of hope and wonder rippled through the townspeople. They were hungry for more than just a momentary rescue, they were yearning for a change, a miracle that could uplift their weary hearts. "Let us keep moving," the traveler encouraged, gesturing for them to follow him. As they crossed the muddy edge of the pond, Mary felt a spark of determination ignite within her. Shadows were creeping, but so was the collective faith of the crowd growing stronger. The traveler led them down a narrow path winding through the dense trees, where the air buzzed with anticipation. He turned back to face them, a light glowing in his eyes. Hope is like a river, flowing through those who will receive it. It's time to pour out that hope. What do you mean? Mary asked, curiosity swirling in her heart. She felt Jacob press against her side, his small hand still grasping hers. There are many in need, he replied softly, lowering his voice as if sharing a sacred secret. You have shown the power of compassion. But your journey is far from over. Those who were rescued tonight are but the first waves, there are more waiting for your kindness. An ember of realization flickered within her. You mean we should continue to help? Yes, indeed. The traveler affirmed, his voice rising with excitement. There are many nights filled with darkness, and the light of your love can pierce through. Gather those around you, share in your light, and prepare for the impossible. Encouraged by his words, the small group pressed forward, their hearts aligned in purpose. The traveler shared stories of other communities rejoicing from acts of goodwill, igniting sparks of hope where darkness had once dwelled. With each tale, Mary felt her spirit lift, her earlier fears beginning to melt away. They approached a clearing, where the remnants of a small fire still lingered, and the scent of smoke hung in the air. An elderly man sat near the ashes, his frail body trembling yet filled with a profound sense of longing. As they neared, he looked up. His eyes spoke volumes, a mixture of sadness and a flickering desire for connection. Can we help you? Mary asked gently, the warmth of her voice wrapping around them like a comforting blanket. The elderly man hesitated before responding, I lost everything, my home, my family. I do not know if there's a way back. His words struck deeply. Each syllable carried the weight of loss, echoing the fears of the town that in that moment, Mary felt a wave of compassion surge within her, filling her soul to the brim. We can help rebuild together. Hope can rise again. She glanced at Jacob, who nodded vigorously, his eyes wide with determination. The traveler smiled, eyes shimmering with pride. What you offer will blossom and spread like a garden. Remember, kindness is like the seed scattered on fertile ground. Around the fire, they began to talk, sharing laughter and stories, weaving a tapestry of connection among them all. The love and light they shared pooled around the elderly man, wrapping him in a newfound warmth. As darkness embraced the evening sky and stars began to twinkle overhead, they could sense the shift in the air. The energy around them became electric, as if heaven itself were whispering in their midst. There is power in every act of love, the traveler said, the weight of his words resonating in their hearts. You have the potential to manifest heavenly smiles for many more. Mary's heart raced. This moment was pivotal, the dawn of something bigger waiting to break forth. Yet she knew, deep down, that their journey had only just begun. What lays ahead? She mused, a mix of excitement and trepidation threading through her being. The river will flow into the valleys, washing over those parched for hope, the traveler replied, glancing toward the horizon where the first stirrings of dawn could almost be seen. With renewed vigor, they stood together, a community renewed, poised to embark on an adventure beyond their wildest dreams. What divine encounters would scatter seeds of hope next? What miraculous transformations were yet to come? As dawn broke again over the gentle hills, an extraordinary peace settled across the village like a sacred cloak. Mary stood at her window, watching the golden rays splash across the patchwork fields, illuminating every solemn corner with possibility. Little Jacob giggled, his joy echoing through the home like a symphony of grace. Last night's triumph over adversity still warmed her heart, but in its wake, new questions stirred a divine restlessness to embrace more than just survival. She knelt beside Jacob, the sun streaming in, and they closed their eyes in prayer. Thank you, Lord, for last night, Mary whispered, her heart expansive with gratitude. Guide us to spread your love and bring healing where it's needed most. Jacob, oblivious to the heavy weight of daily trials, simply replied, "Amen." His innocence ignited a flicker of hope that danced within her. Inspired by the traveler's call to action, Mary resolved they would no longer wait for need to arise, they would become the hands and feet of love, seeking out those yearning for light in the shadows. "Let us take our hearts to the village," she said, her voice firm. With eager hands, they prepared to deliver meals, shining words of encouragement, and the promise that they were never alone. As they ventured through the village, the air crackled with unyielding urgency. More faces appeared along their path, some weary, some filled with skepticism, but all woven into the fabric of this small community. Mary approached a frail elder resting on a bench, surrounded by the whispers of uncertainty. "How can we help you?" she asked, crouching to meet her gaze. "I lost my son to the illness," the elder replied, her voice trembling. "Now, I sit here in darkness, seeking solace I cannot find." With Jacob's little hand resting in hers, Mary spoke softly, "We'll carry your burdens together. We share your grief. Let us pray, and let the light of hope illuminate your spirit." They gathered around the elder, tender voices intermingling with the rising sun, illuminating forgotten corners of the heart. The light began to soften the sorrow etched in her eyes, revealing flickers of hope that combined like sunlight filtering through trees. Little by little, they scattered seeds of compassion across the village, witnessing the beauty of surrendered hearts joining together. Each act, each smile added layers to their mission. In a nearby square, they found a group organizing a gathering for those affected by the illness. Mary approached, "Can we help?" Amidst the hum of voices, they not only offered food but warmth and encouragement, each connection a building block toward healing. The people began to trust again, revealing their wounds, their struggles. "Your words are like a balm," one woman exclaimed, tears glistening in her eyes. Mary couldn't help but feel the weight of divine purpose wrap around her, each flicker of connection rekindling hope. As the sun climbed higher, they gathered again, forming circles of support that drew in more neighbors. The traveler's words of love echoed like a refrain in Mary's heart. Each moment they spent together was a treasure, each laugh a victory over despair. Suddenly, the familiar figure of the traveler reappeared. The weight of the world dimmed with his presence. "You've manifested hope," he proclaimed, his voice resonating like thunder amidst the applause of the townspeople. "You shine brightly together, and now, it's time for the next step." "What will it be?" Jacob asked, eyes sparkling with curiosity. The traveler raised his hands, and as if on cue, clouds began to part, revealing the radiant sun. "With your unity, prepare to spread your light beyond this village. But remember, the call to love can challenge you even more. This journey may take you through valleys and unknown paths. Trust in this divine plan." With hearts united in purpose and eyes on the horizon, Mary felt the glory of the moment wash over them, igniting a collective fire. They understood their role, a band of light ready to traverse the unknown, fueled by the faith that had blossomed amidst darkness. Every tear, every prayer echoed back to her, now reminders that their love, when shared, could spark miracles in the lives of many, that every small act of love radiated power far beyond their own. Mary looked down at Jacob, his smile beaming brighter than the sun itself. She knew. No matter the trials ahead, they would forge ahead together fearlessly. With arms linked, they stepped into the golden light, eyes bright with hope. The journey ahead was filled with promise, while divine orchestration awaited their eager hearts. This was not the end, it was merely the beginning, a beautiful spiraling journey that would lead them to the very heart of God's love. The call to action reverberated. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss the next chapter of Faith and Light. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is crucial. Comment below with your reactions and testimonies. Share instantly this message with at least 5 friends who need to witness this manifestation. We are all conduits of divine love. Don't wait even one more second. Let us lift up the world together.